Okay, guys, we're recording. My name's Laura Barrett, and I wanted to welcome everybody to our experiential growth group. And before we get started, we have some logistics to take care of. And the first thing is to make sure that we have our consent forms and we go over the information in the consent forms. So I'm just going to briefly review the terms of the consent form. I did get everybody's consent form. The only thing is, Barbie, yours is in my email. It was in a Word format and it was also in protected view, so I can't copy it and upload it. So it's just in my email, but I have it. So everybody's turned them in. So on the informed consent, it basically says the purpose of our group is as a experiential homework partner group, and it's not meant to be therapy. And that the focus for us will be learning and growth and just paying attention to and experiencing group process. It also talks about confidentiality. And so we all need to make sure that whatever's said in our group, it stays in our group, with the exception of anything required by law, whether it be, talking about abuse or a serious threat of harm. I'm the only person today recording the session. And then in the future, when each of us becomes a leader, then that person is the only one recording. The expectations for privacy are that everybody be in a private room with the door closed. And if anyone happens to enter while we are in our group, you should like block your screen, mute yourself, and then come back. Make sure the group knows to quickly stop until you've done that and then re-enter the group when everything's cool. Technology risks are that we might cut out for a second. Um, Something might be unclear. So I think everybody knows all about that. We all do that once a week already. Um, Attendance is important, joining on time and contacting the facilitator if you're going to be absent. That way people don't wait around. And then there is an expectation for everybody to actively participate. And I think it says in the instructions that we're going to take turns being leaders. And I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think it means that once I introduce the topic of discussion, each person has the opportunity to kind of take the lead and continue discussion about that topic. Um, that's it. So I wanted to put it out to the group since part of what we need to do is create rules for our group. And I wanted to put it out to everyone what you think will be necessary for you to feel comfortable and for you to feel safe and for you to feel okay about active participation. So I'm going to put that out to the group because I feel like the rules should be like a mutual process. Anyone willing to put out a first idea? Yes.
I would just say cameras on unless it's an emergency. It's nice to see faces. It feels more comfortable to speak when you see the other person.
Agreed. Okay, so
I,
that'll be one of our rules. Yes, Barbie.
I may go off camera, but still be participating if he needs to feed. So
Thanks for letting us know.
yeah,
Well, definitely.
just know
Understood.
I'm nursing if that happens.
Okay, no problem. At least we know what's happening and we will be respectful of that. Okay. Anything else you can think of?
I have a couple.
Uh-huh.
So you guys were talking about if we need to step away for some sort of reason or whatever, is there like a preferred signal that you'd like, or do we just leave the group and then come back? What would be the best method if there was something that came
Like
up?
if, oh yeah, like if someone's talking, I don't know, do you guys just want to go like this, hold your
You can
hand
put
up?
in the chat like going to the restroom really quick or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I don't have my chat open. I will do that though. Need to open my chat. So that's a good idea. Now I have my chat open so I can see in case that happens.
I
Okay.
could use like the hand raising,
Uh-huh.
little emoji thing.
All right. Do you guys like that? Do you want to use the emoji? I think that's good.
There's also different emojis. I
Mhm.
guess you could get creative if it's like a restroom or like a crying emoji.
Do you want to use like the hourglass or the clock? Like, I'll be right back. Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
sweet,
not
thanks.
the emoji I thought of.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
Yeah,
hilarious if it was a poop
Yeah.
emoji.
Yeah.
that would
With
be
a
Oh
Right?
smiley
my
funny.
face.
God.
That's what I was
That's
thinking. Yeah.
hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Okay.
look, somebody did the cry emoji.
Okay, so we'll use a signal. And then the other one I had was just to end on time to be respectful of everyone's schedules.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we are supposed to have a 2 hour session today. So, as the leader, I'm supposed to be kind of the timekeeper. So, I'll definitely keep that in mind that I remind everybody it's time to wrap up, and hopefully we'll have some like a few minute period of just wrap up. Um, yeah, we already talked about everybody participating. Um, and being respectful. I think that's honestly a big one is making a space for everyone to share in a non-judgmental space, which I think we're all really good at that. So I don't foresee any issues. Another one was interrupting. So I think sometimes we accidentally do that, so I know we'll all be respectful, but trying to let somebody complete their thought before we jump in. Okay. Do those sound like good rules? I'm going to repeat them back to you. Okay. So we have making sure that everything's confidential, respectful listening, no interrupting, everyone participates, being mindful of time, ending on time. Um, and then that's basically it. Stay on camera. All right. So we're going to head into our introductions. And I know a couple of you already from previous classes, but it'll be fun for us all to get to know each other. So I'll start, and we're basically just going to say our name and how far along we are in the program. And then one thing that we expect or hope to gain from our experiences together in this group. So my name's Laura Barrett, and I have one more year before I hit my practicum. So the fall of next year, I'll be hitting my practicum. So not this fall, but the next fall. Um, what do I hope to gain? Um, I'm just excited about experiencing group process. It is an area that I'm interested in when I'm uh, working as a counselor. And so I am excited for this class just to, I just think as a teacher, classroom teacher, I love the interplay and I think people gain so much from it. So, okay, so I'll just call your name and then, so Malia, we'll start with you.
So I'm Malia, and I'm almost, I think at the end of this summer, I'll be halfway through. So that's exciting. I'm doing the part time. So almost a year and a half in. And I am a little overwhelmed and nervous about groups. Um, potentially leading groups. So I just want to gain comfort in participating, but mostly in leading groups, and also learn how to kind of draw people out and how to know when to go a little deeper and when to um, not force people. The wisdom in knowing boundaries with helping people share. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Um, then we'll go to Carly.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Carly. I have been in the program since February of last year. So I think, Malia, I'm right around where you are. And let's see, what I'm excited about for group is, I think experiencing it in a digital format, that's going to be new for me. I Laura, you said you're in education. I'm also in education. I'm a school counselor. And so I frequently hold groups with kids. And it's very interesting and fun, but it's always in person. And we attempted to hold them during COVID, but you can imagine how well that went. Um, and so it'll be interesting to see it from like the adult perspective, and just the things can be very layered with kids. And so with adults, it's so much more complex, right? And so I look forward to just learning more about all of you and building my skill set and capacity.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
How about Cynthia?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Cynthia. I am like Malia, at the end of the summer, we'll be halfway through the program. I'm about a year in. I'm doing full-time as of now. And one thing that I'm excited about is to be in a virtual setting. I've been in many group settings before, but in person and virtually, other than like our classes and lectures and things of that sort, not really. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. I know that even just reading from the chapter how different virtual groups can be and how it can be a little harder to connect, but not impossible, still possible. So I'm very excited to see um, how that'll go, especially because in the future, I do plan on eventually maybe even part-time working remotely. And so I'm excited to see how I can still impact people's lives through like virtually connecting. So I'm really excited for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to Barbie.
Hi everyone, I'm Barbie. I'm halfway through second year. Um, and what I'm excited most about is the digital format. I'm one of those people that go, oh, we can't really connect over the digital until I got into my process group. So um, I think it's a great way to keep going with that and see how well I can connect and be connected with virtually.
So I'm hearing a lot of common goals. And then finally, Ariel.
I guess I'm just most interested in learning how to facilitate a group. I've done it before in the past, but like after reading Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend's book, I'm like, oh, wow, like there is the structure that it provides. Um, I just feel allows for more like focused exploration of certain subjects. And so I'm just excited to give that a practice. Yeah.
Definitely. It sounds like we have kind of like a range then. So we've got some people a little trepidatious, other people with more experience in groups. But a common theme I'm hearing is a lot of people are excited about the digital format. So I guess this is the first time. I mean, I taught during COVID, so, but it wasn't in groups. So I did have some small groups, but never more than two or three. So, um, yeah, this will be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to move into our next section. Before I do that, though, I just wanted to say I'm excited to meet all of you, and it's good to hear everybody's, mini story. But I'm excited more than anything to get to know everybody as we evolve throughout the sessions. Okay, so I like my prompt. I love my prompt. So the topic that we're going to be discussing today, and everybody can have any type of reaction. There's no expected response to this, but it is the pivotal moment or experience that led us, all of us, to choose counseling as our life's work. So I'm going to give you a moment to kind of like ponder this because it can be simple, but it can also be a little less than simple. So I'm going to let everybody take a minute to just think about it. And for
Laura,
me,
will you put
it's,
that in the chat?
of course, thanks for asking. Okay. And it's just a statement, but that's a great idea that you asked me to put it in the chat because I know some people are very visual and it's nice to have it there. Pivotal moment or experience that led, and I'm going to put you, but I mean all of us, to choose counseling as your life's work. Okay. Life's work is, for lack of a better word, it doesn't have to be your life's work, but career sounded a little more formal and less what it really is. So I wanted it to have the meaning that it really has. All right. Does someone have something like ready to go? Okay.
Yeah.
Yay, Malia. She's shaking her
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. So probably like nine-ish years ago, was when I decided that counseling was what I really felt like God was calling me to do. Um, so it was kind of as I was figuring out uh, some relationship dynamics that were unhealthy in several different relationships. And as I kind of dug into like, okay, what's going on in me? What's going on in, this other person? It was two pretty significant relationships in my life. Um, that, as you are growing and developing, emotionally, you start to see patterns that you hadn't noticed before. So I was like, okay, what is going on here? So I started reading about just psychology, about, personality disorder, all going down all the rabbit holes, but just really discovering, honestly, the importance of grief, the importance of grieving losses in relationships, that have been like patterns of loss over periods of time. One is my mom, and then one is kind of my husband. Just working through some issues that we have from, you know, life and family of origin. So really, uh, looking at how people develop, how their personalities develop, how we develop coping mechanisms to compensate for struggles. And I discovered that this is actually fascinating and a really good way to help, like to use what I've learned, use different struggles that I've gone through to help other people. So, yeah. So it wasn't like one pivotal moment, but it was, pivotal relationships, I think. Yeah.
Wow. That was great. I love how you worded that. Does that spark something for someone else? You said,
Oh,
oh,
I'll
go
go.
ahead.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Laura.
no problem. I was just gonna like repeat a few things that she said to hopefully spark something from in someone else, but go for it, Barbie.
So mine, I never thought I was ever going to be in psychology. I always was fascinated with human behavior from a law enforcement standpoint. So my first degree was in law enforcement. So that ended up not working out. And then everything in my life literally was turning to shit, and I came from shit. So I was at work one day and I started going to therapy. And then when I was doing cognitive behavioral and doing like trauma crisis and all this kind of different work in myself, I started feeling better. My anxiety started going down. Like I started moving from like surviving to thriving, just in my sense of self. And I said, gosh, I feel so good. I want everyone to feel this good. And a light bulb went off. And I went and I got another degree and I got an undergrad in psychology, uneducated, not knowing that I had to have a master's and, you know, so on and so forth. But my own work led to me like, I didn't want to hold all this joy. I wanted to get others there too. So that's what led me down the path.
Awesome. Yeah, you and Malia basically ended on the same note. Did you notice that? That
No.
you wanted to help others with
Oh
the
yeah.
struggles that you experienced. Yes.
It's a very acts of service field. You literally have to give so much of yourself and be selfless.
Mhm. Anyone else want to jump in?
I would say on the same note as what Barbie shared, I most of my experience has been in the protective services arena. I also worked with special investigators. So I feel like Barbie is a kindred spirit. But I they put me into a department that exclusively handled trafficking cases, like extreme cases of abuse and neglect, and I realized my limitations in helping the teenagers and the children. And out of that frustration, like I want to continue to journey with this group of people, and I want to be able to help them process their emotions, because unfortunately with child welfare, we can provide so much materialistically, and send them to referrals, um, but like I said, even those things, there's so many limits. And so I wanted to just continue learning. I don't know even like how, like what this is going to look like if I'm going to be a counselor. Um, I'm still looking into like what I can do with this afterwards, but I definitely want to continue journeying um, with that group, and hopefully, have all the tools I need to help them process their emotions. So, yeah, thank you for sharing, Barbie. Appreciate that.
Well, when people find a connection like that too, we'll have to get into that. The thing that I heard from you is that you realized you hit a personal limit in your ability to help the people that you obviously care for a great deal. And so and here you are making yourself equipped to do this. Anyone else ready to jump in?
I can go next.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for sharing so far. When Barbie was sharing, it reminded me of kind of like what my pivotal moment was. I was working as a medical assistant at radiation oncology. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do after I graduated from college. And so these are all cancer patients, a lot of them dealing with terrible prognosis. And so a lot of what I noticed, because our social worker offered them therapy, I noticed that our Hispanic patient population was always, whenever we offered, it was very much like, oh no, like that's, you know, like that's just out of the question. Not even from like the patients themselves, but sometimes from their parents. And this never struck me as surprising. A lot of the doctors were always like, yeah, like that's awful. But in my head, I was like, well, I know what that's like because that's how it is in my family, unfortunately. But then I saw how some people that like took, you could say like the risk because they were willing to say yes, even though their family was against it. It like can completely transform them and it helped them really push through their journey. I mean, it impacted journey with cancer tremendously because they were able to cope better with the circumstances that life was handing them. And so seeing how powerful that was, and it just made me realize like the big need there is for these services to be more accessible in my community. And I thought if I want to see that change, then I can start there, and once I'm done with my degree, go back to my same community and try to make this more accessible through community health fairs or just word of mouth, whatever it takes. Because like Barbie said, when you see the impact, you just want everyone else to feel this way because I'm just picturing like how many people are wishing they could, but their family doesn't allow them to, and just to break that stigma and have others experience the transformative beauty of therapy.
Very cool. This is something that comes up a lot in my classes. So I work with immigrants and the stigma around getting mental health services can be just so limiting and prevent them from getting like help that they need. And it's really cool that you had that understanding from a personal perspective, you know? I
Okay, so
guess.
for me, it was not necessarily one pivotal moment. Similar to Barbie, I did not have a phenomenal upbringing, and it wasn't until much later that I realized like how much I needed somebody to be supportive and show up for me. And there wasn't, I had to do that for myself. And so it led me down a path of like, how can I be that for other people? And I felt like education is where, especially kiddos, like spend so much of their time in school, and what happens at home goes with them to school, and what happens at school comes home with them. And so I really wanted to plant myself in a place where I felt like I could be a change maker in a positive way. And so I went the school counseling route. And then a few years ago, I got hired in a position that was specifically mental health and crisis response related. And so, and education is just moving in that direction a lot anyway, like having multiple services on site in all community schools and all this kind of thing. And so I did that position for 3 years, and I just found myself really wanting to lean into, similar to what you guys have shared, Ariel, a little bit, like having a greater knowledge base and appropriate methods for handling situations that arise in a way that is healthy and responsive and knowledgeable and grounded in theory and best practices. And so I took the opportunity to go back. And there was one, I guess, one pivotal moment that kind of like pushed the over the edge, which was actually at a women's retreat. And I had noticed these two young ladies were sitting in a rocking chair. And as I walked down the path, I noticed them to my left, and I kept walking, and you could see that they were visibly upset. And I just felt like you feel that like God nudge, right? And so I was like, I turned around and I walked back and I said, "Are you girls okay?" And they shared with me that they both had been through and experienced like rape and sexual assault and then miscarriages. And I sat with them for, I don't know, probably a couple of hours. And they were just so grateful. And then really were like, we need people in the church to provide support and services. And so that's kind of what led me to really kind of make that move full throttle and go forward with like, okay, I guess I'm going to go back to school now. And so, um, yeah, it's been a journey, but it's a good one. And I think, I'm excited for whatever's next.
Totally. I really resonate with you getting into an experience where you've realized you don't have the tools to help somebody. And I've had that same experience where I'm sitting there just kind of like, and I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing because this person needs something right now. And I don't want them to walk away without that. And I literally got that, had that experience just the other day. But I'll talk about my pivotal experience. I think I knew I was called to this way back in my undergrad because my degree was psychology, but I didn't really understand the layers of why at the time. And my life got diverted away from it. I got pregnant before I was married and left education or left grad school. I was in grad school for this exact same thing at that time and left. And then my partner at the time went to law school, so I needed to become like a support for him to do law school. And then I had a miscarriage and my whole life just went in another direction. And then few years later, I became a teacher. I went back into school and got the units I needed to be a teacher. And then I was home with my kids for many years, and then when I finally went back to work, I had my, ability to be a teacher. And, but it wasn't until recently that I started realizing how much I needed to be in the counseling profession. And it was my family started taking a really, really rocky turn, my family of origin. My parents became really, really elderly and dependent, and my family's system of origin began completely crumbling. And it made me realize, and all of the patterns of our family that had been so dysfunctional basically rose to the surface and completely just fractured our whole family. I feel like, and my father passed away not that long ago, but the pain that I've been through over these last few years, because not only am I losing my parents, I'm losing a sister who has become one of the people that I've had to protect myself from. Um, and then also grieving the childhood that I thought I had, but now everything is being like just revealed at this moment when my parents are, declining in their capabilities. And yeah, all of the patterns just kind of rose to the surface. And it made me, and the weird thing is, like, the first thing I wanted to do was help my oldest sister, who I knew had been struggling really, really bad. And then a good friend whose wife passed away because she committed suicide. And I've always been that role in my family as like the holder of the emotions. I was the only one. Everyone else was the avoider of the emotions, and I was the holder of the emotions. And so I just took it upon myself to try and start understanding everything the best that I could. And even just the yesterday, I had that good friend I was telling you about call me, and we had a phone call, and it was literally like a therapy session. And I was trying to explain to him about attachment and about separation and integration, and because I could literally see all the patterns that had in his life that had centered around, he had an alcoholic father. So it's centered around not having the attachment that he should have had, not having the separation that he should have had, not being able to have integration because everything is so black and white in that type of environment. And I explained to, and he's just a very introspective person. And I explained to him so carefully, like everything that I've been learning. And he literally just was bawling because he realized it was the truth. He realized, because I think one of the things when people come out of an environment like that, they feel shame. They feel shame. I felt shame. And I could see and recognize the shame that he was trying to mask. And I think the biggest part about all this work is feeling that pain and that shame, but then realizing it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. And allowing yourself to forgive yourself. And that can be like the most, and the thing, and it takes again and again and again, you have to go back to it again and again because your body is almost set up to carry that shame around with you all the time. And so, yeah, that is what has prompted me, the pain over these last few years and wanting to help people out of it. So I see some patterns between like everything we said. And so I guess where I want to go from here is open it up to the floor. I'll put some of the patterns out there and then let's just kind of share where we feel we connect. But I guess one of the things I'm hearing and seeing is everybody came from a place of going through struggles, going through struggles, and then wanting one to help yourself, but then also to help other people. I get, and I was talking to my friend about this, like, where does it come from? Why was I the one in my family that became that person? Because everyone else didn't, you know, everyone else did something, some other version of their coping mechanism.
Laura,
Um,
I found in
yes.
I found in research the peacekeeper and things like that, like maybe not just the peacekeeper, but the person that's different is usually the one that's been scapegoated.
Interesting.
And just what you were saying with your dynamic is maybe you're the scapegoat in like the family dynamic.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to pick apart. I've been really looking at it and there's definitely patterns that were going on that made me the less capable person. We had the star child and then we had the backup children or the kids who just aren't the star children and they're not trusted with important family assignments or family roles, and I would definitely say that I was definitely not the star child and wasn't, and I was considered like someone to be taken care of, not somebody to look to um for being taken care of. um yeah, so that's an interesting dynamic. So I encourage you guys to jump in. So that theme of, wanting to help yourself and out of that, you decide you want to help other people.
I think for
Yeah.
me,
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so I think when we face, like for me, when I face like pain, I think pain is kind of the point where people can make a decision to either, avoid it, you know, come up with strategies to cope with it. But I think if we are able to share that pain with like one other person, it's like the pain that's been in the dark is suddenly brought out into the light. And so then you have the choice to kind of move through and process that pain. And that is such a transformative uh, process, of learning how to transform that pain, grow through it. And I think that's one of the themes. Like we've all had a point of pain that we've been able to work through, whether through counseling or whether it's, we need more information, we need more training, we need to help our community, we need to, so like counseling fits how we've processed our pain because we brought it out into the light, and we want to help other people to do that too. Because when that pain is in the darkness, it's usually because of shame. So yeah, that's kind of one of the themes I saw, you know, Smith.
Yeah. That element of shame is really big because I think that's what holds some people back from even looking. And that's why those walls are there, or those mechanisms for protecting oneself are in place.
They say they say stress is a silent killer, and I always say shame is, because shame will induce the stress. I always find that when I was in pain, being validated in my pain help alleviate the pain. Um, just being seen, and then the feeling of when you're seen, you can't help but make others feel seen, especially if you have a level of empathy inside of you. Like I want my pain to help somebody else's pain, and I want to be able to resonate and relate. And I think that we all go to counseling just to feel validated and, to heal what is broken inside of us. And us pursuing this career, we want to help the person heal what's broken inside of them. We're not the healers, we just help them get to be healing.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
my thought
shame.
on this, oh, sorry, Malia. Um, in talking about shame and then like how closely that ties to self-value and how we view ourselves. And I just wonder like how many of us are here because similar to what you're saying, Barbie, about like the value in therapy and then us wanting to facilitate that in a way that's positive so that people see their value, but then also is it us getting validated and that what we're doing is valuable? And so just something that I was reflecting on while you guys were talking and like yeah, I'm helping people, but I'm also helping myself, and it's this like reciprocal filling and emptying of the cup from that shared and lived experiences. Like I think just recognizing and seeing the nuance, and then in all of the nuance in people's lives, like there's connections that can be made too, and then it's through connection and relationship that we heal, right? And so that just was a train of thought that I was having while you guys were talking. That makes sense.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah, what Carly was saying, kind of like that dichotomy of like helping someone and then that also kind of thing in the background, like, are we validating ourselves kind of thing. Um, I think for me, kind of just taking what everyone else is saying, like, with the clients that I've had that have been through extreme abuse, it really does help when someone says, I understand. And I know that's something we're not supposed to say in counseling, but I can't tell you how many of my clients would walk out of counseling rooms because it's like, no, like, why are you bringing me to this lady who, like, buttons up her shirt to the top of her neck. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's this, um, there is like populations of people who are looking for someone to just say, like, I understand. And, or even just to, what you're on the note of what you were talking about, like, why was I in the one in the family, like, holding all the emotions? Like, I feel like, oh gosh, because I was just thinking this, like, if Barbie was a cop, she would be the cop that I would like tell everything to. Like, if I committed a crime, I would like tell her, yep, I did it. Laura, you too, like, you would be, I feel like you would be the cool teacher that everyone would tell everything to. Like, yeah, like, I went out this past weekend and had sex with this guy. Like, there's just like something about everyone here in this group. I feel that you all like have a grace on yourselves. Like, I could see myself telling each and every one of you, like, this is what I've been through. So I do wonder, like, both like practically, like what Barbie was saying, how um there is that dynamic of like how we were raised, but I also think like on the spiritual aspect, like, is there also like a special grace that has been put on us to be able to do this? Because it's not easy. I actually have a friend who tried to talk me out of this program, and kind of told me her experience with being a counselor. And it definitely took like a lot of prayer and retrospection, and kind of what Carly was talking about. I, with that validation, like when I was helping my clients who have been through sexual abuse, I myself had to confront, like, have I like grown from my abuse as well? Because every client that I was meeting with, I was being confronted with anger and shame and guilt. And I'm like, wow, I really need to handle this before I help other people. And so when I said, like, when I shared with you guys, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this master's after I receive it, because in that experience, I found that the counselors for social workers, the counselors for counselors are just as vital as the ones that help like at risk families and at risk youth. So I'm kind of like playing in my mind, like, do I want to go the route of like being the person who helps, the caseworker, the social worker, the counselor? So yeah, I know that was kind of all over the place, but
Can I
No,
it
touch?
just brought up a lot of things.
it lines up with everything we've been saying. It really does. Because we're
Ariel?
talking about our roles, basically. Yeah, go ahead, Barbie.
So what resonated with me, what you were saying, Ariel, is when you said they want to hear, I understand. It took me to a place in my mind where it goes, um, understanding is knowing because you've been through it. So I think a lot of counselors go through so much shit in their life that leads them down this path to where we're operating not out of sympathy, not out of not understanding, but out of empathy of going through it. And I think that we pick little sectors, like yours is human trafficking and sexual assault, because that's the trauma that led you to healing. And so of course you're going to want to, you know what I mean? And like for me, mine's trauma and I want to help somebody, so we can come at a place of empathy with these people naturally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I was thanks so much for sharing, both of you. I was also going to touch on that, on how when I first started the program, I know that was like the first thing that we were advised not to say, like not to say I understand. And I totally get why, because every single client that you meet is going to have such a unique experience. But learning about support groups, these past couple of days was like life-changing for me, because I was like, yeah, that's where I think a lot of healing is done. Um, there's like that famous quote that I'm sure you guys have heard, that's like, rock bottom teaches you things that like mountaintops never will. And I think it's so true. And it's unfortunate that sometimes, we have to learn things the hard way. But like I remember when a couple years back when my dad first passed away, my little sister, she was still in middle school. And we were trying to help her like grieve things. And one time she told us something that I was like, what the heck? Like it completely changed my like perspective on things. She said something along the lines of like, I want to talk to somebody that gets it. You guys don't get it. You're older than me. You're not in middle school without a dad now. And I was like, and so we found a group for her where there was kids like her that had lost a parent, and that helped her tremendously. And so that's why when we were first learning about like not saying I understand, that always troubled me. And I think sometimes we can't say, right? We can't say I understand if you truly don't. But if you happen to come across somebody who's in a situation similar to yours, I would agree with you both that it can help that person a lot to know that they firsthand know what you've been through. Um, yeah, it feels like you belong, like you're not the only one that's felt this way, and it instills hope, which I know is one of the hardest things sometimes, especially when you're first starting your journey with therapy. Sometimes you feel, or more than often, you feel hopeless. So sometimes that instills hope, like, hey, they've been through this and they've made it this far, and I can too. So I think, yeah, I don't think it's wrong to say that you understand.
Well, and then I think like even if you don't say the words, I understand your presence and the way that you listen and the way that you reflect and um, paraphrase and make the emotional statements back to them. Um, that is basically, I'm with you, which in a sense is like understanding because you're climbing into their emotional world with them. Even if you haven't experienced something like what they've experienced, if you are a really, really good listener and you are reflecting back to them their experience and you're climbing in it with them and, trying to put yourself in their world for a moment, that is feeling understood. Even if you don't say, I understand, your effort to do that, in my mind, makes them feel like they're being understood. So, um, yeah, that's my take on that. Like, whether you say those words or not, your actions will show that you're trying your best to hear and to reflect.
I wonder if we could use terms like I can empathize and really attune in those moments with our leaning in, our eye contact, um, and just really empathizing. And I think there's sometimes, hopefully, I don't know, but that we could, shed a little light if a client is struggling about talking about something that we have went through personally. Um, Sharing a slight detail about ourselves if it's appropriate and an appropriate measure to help them open up. So it reduces shame.
And that's what's really awesome about a group, right? Because once people start feeling comfortable enough to, put those scary things out in the open, it's going to be met with other people just going, like, oh my God, I'm not the only one, right? So I think that's what's really cool about the group process, if people can feel safe.
Yeah, and to piggyback a little bit on what Barbie was saying with regard to like sharing details, I think, and the appropriateness of that, I think sometimes maybe people are concerned to talk about or consider physical touch and the level of appropriateness in a therapeutic situation. And as a school counselor, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've like asked a student. I had a big, huge football player come into my, like, he held it together until he crossed the threshold of my office. The door closed and then he collapsed into tears on the floor. And I was like, oh my gosh, like caretaker in me kicks in, right? And I'm like, oh, I just want to hug you so bad. So I was like, buddy, can I put my hand on your shoulder? And he's like, yes. So I just put my hand on his shoulder and I like just rubbed his back because he wasn't even looking at me. He was in the fetal position on the floor. And but in that moment, you need comfort. And the only way that he was going to feel that, because he wasn't looking at me, was through my hand on his shoulder. And I think that you always want to ask permission, but I think there's so much power in that and just being present, right? Like we lay hands on people in church to pray for them, right? And it's just that power of connection and feeling like I'm not alone in this. And I think that it's just incredibly moving to be trusted with that. And then yeah, to see and allow, I mean, I can't even imagine, like my family we're not physical. I was not raised in that. And so like uh, physical touch for me can sometimes be uncomfortable, but then sometimes it's like everybody needs it, right? And you need that validation and that sense of comfort and safety. And so I think just remembering the power of that and how authentic it can show up in a moment um, can be huge. So, but yeah, people don't, I think people get worried about touching other people, right? Like, which is why you always have to ask permission, but like just the caveat, right?
Yeah. As we're talking about, like, understanding and attunement and empathy, I immediately thought of being a parent. And it's like, as a therapist, you're usually dealing with people who didn't have parents who were able to really be attuned and connected. At least I didn't. So, by putting your hand on their shoulder or telling them you understand, you're providing like kind of parenting in a way, a corrective experience that maybe they've never experienced, and that can completely change somebody's life. It can give them hope, that relationships can be safe and that there are people who can actually care. So yeah, just I mean, it connects back with attachment and going through the Townsend model, but like just and yeah, just also making sure that I'm doing this with my kids, so that you know they're getting what they need. But as counselors, we're kind of reparenting in a way, especially if you've got girls who are being trafficked, they weren't protected by somebody. There's something that is really broken in that formative relationship. And so yeah, um, it's really
As you were
important.
talking, some stuff came up for me too, because that talk I was telling you I was having with my friend where he was really struggling, and we were talking about integration and how everybody is somewhere on the spectrum of their journey along attachment, separation, integration, adulthood. And integration is, accepting individuals wherever they are on that scale and understanding that, um, you know, even if they rub you the wrong way, you have to sort of step outside and realize they're somewhere on that continuum, just like everybody. Um, but it brought up for me, because the dynamic that went on in my family was narcissism with my mom and my sister. Um, and in that scenario, they have a false reality. And you can't pierce that false reality because it's holding up their ego structure for them. And so that is like something for me that I'm really, really like, as I imagine myself as a counselor, navigating around, because even when Ariel, when you're talking about people who have been abused, there's the abuser. The abuser is also a person who was hurt, right? So, for me, I was hurt because I had other really, really hurt people in my family who are so hurt that they are, doing hurtful things that they don't even realize they're doing, or you know, their behavior is affected strongly by how they protected themselves, in a hurtful situation. And I don't know if I have a point except just to say that for me, it's something I'm still working on. Um, Even in my own immediate family, how to integrate for those people in my mind, right? Like, because there's no all bad and all good. But when you are directly hurt by someone like that, right? It gets a little stickier, you know?
There's a great book, Laura. Sorry, this is off topic, but it relates to what you went through. It could help in healing. It's called It's Not You by Dr. Rumani. It's an
Yeah, I've heard that. I need to read it. I think my therapist even recommended it.
Oh my goodness, it's outstanding. Do you ever feel like when you help others, it's helping you? Like when you help others heal, that there's a part of you that heals, or when you show up for somebody in a vulnerable moment, there's a part of you that's like, yes, this is healing for me too.
Yeah.
On like kind of what both of y'all are saying, like what you were saying, Laura, about all of us being on a spectrum of the integration separation journey, like that whole chart. I think like the point you had made also like in a response earlier, that that's what's nice about being able to facilitate a group, because each member of that group is going to be on a different place in their journey. And I do like what the text was talking about mentorship. And I know, at least for my clients who have been in AA or NA, like it's so comforting for them when they have a mentor who's like, hey, I'm still in the recovery process too. To have, so even if we're in a position like what Carly was saying where we can't, you know, we might find ourselves, we can't say I understand, or we can't put the hand on the shoulder. And um, what's nice about the group is that it can provide those mentors for people. It could provide that type of discipleship and the people within the group, if there's that connection. Because I think part one really talked about like how to build the rapport and make those connections in the group. If in the beginning that rapport is built and those connections are made, the people within the group can continue like outside of the session and go that extra mile that we can't go. So yeah,
Yeah.
I used to think that there was so much more power in the individual counseling, but I found, which I have a therapist as well, but um if there's like right now my therapist, she's like booked a whole month. I'm still in a small group once a week. I'm still like connected to people who've been through the same things. Um, and like what you're saying, like presence speaks. So in a small group, I don't have, nobody has to say, I understand, I understand, I understand. Like if we're all coming to this small group, it's like we are all under the understanding that we've been through a similar event in our lives that have brought us together. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on something very similar, Ariel, how I know that the first couple of sessions in individual therapy, they're very important for the therapist to like really build rapport and make sure that you're able to establish this like comfortable atmosphere for your client. But the beauty of groups, especially like support groups, is that before you even arrive, you already feel like you belong, because you know that people are going for similar reasons, or even if it's not similar reasons, they're just going because they need help with something. I know that sometimes what's difficult, I know, for example, is when it's involuntary. So like when adolescents are sent in for therapy, just from personal experience and from when I used to work at a school, I know that oftentimes kids do better when they see other kids there, because then they don't feel singled out and they can see that others are going through similar things. So yeah, I think that's like one of the beauties. And I know the book mentions it heavily too, of group work, is just feeling that commonality and feeling that you belong and that others understand without you having to ask them to understand. I know that's like a big fear. Like this is something my sister used to always say before she would meet a new therapist. She went through a couple. She would always say like, I hope this one understands me. Or there's and it's natural to have that like to fear like um they might not be the right one for me because they just don't get me. But when you're this in this group, then there's just like a higher chance that you're going to connect with at least one person, and once you have that connection, I mean, it's transformative, really.
Definitely. I think I want to pivot a little bit right now. So we've talked a lot about our role and why we were called and how we want to be there for the people that we're going to serve. Um, so now I kind of want to pivot a little bit and just talk about like thus far in your journey, um, what do you feel like you want to learn or you feel like because a lot of you talked about you feel you don't feel equipped yet. What is it that you feel like you is the next big thing that you really want to explore in your journey of becoming competent for doing what you're going to be doing? Do you have something in your head where it's like it feels a little sticky? It feels, oh, I know I need to do this thing, and it's going to be a little bit unfamiliar.
I think for me, like, so I think I'm the youngest. It'll be a year in June that I've been in the program, so almost on my year anniversary.
Mhm.
But I I'm not going to be able to do. I wasn't able to do the residency last time, and I'm not going to be able to this time. I was in two car accidents, and I'm still going through like physical and neurotherapy.
God.
So, yeah. So I am taking this summer to get my body and my brain in a
Mhm.
place because I was going to jump into the residency. I'm already like kind of nervous about it. Um I'm really comfortable with this digital space. So I'm like, being in person. And yeah, it's kind of like makes me a little nervous thinking about it, but I'm like, I just don't think that I would have been able to truly enjoy it if I had done it now. So I'm like, okay, girl, get your body in shape, you know, let's do those cognitive exercises. And like, so that's my goal, is to just like really be able to step into the residency next June and enjoy it and get the most out of it.
Awesome. Sorry to hear that you are set back, but I'm glad you can see the light finally. But Cynthia, what were you going to say?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, Ariel. I hope that next year you get that experience at residency. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I think that for me, I kind of gave up on finding that like deadline. I kept setting a deadline for myself, like in 2 years, I'm gonna have this amount of hours and I don't know this much and I don't know this much. I just kind of like accepted that I'm going to keep learning and learning and learning, and I'm never going to reach that like, okay, I finally know everything. Especially even just like through these different courses, I know that even when we started learning about how to work with clients with disabilities, that pushed me to learn even more things. I was like, oh, well, maybe one day I could even learn like ASL, or how else can I help people? And so I think that's something that I've learned, is that I'm never going to know everything. And if I ever feel like I know everything, something's wrong, because there's always room for growth. And so yeah, that's kind of something that I've like just set myself already. There's just always learning opportunities. Like even just the other day here where I live, one of the shelters posted on LinkedIn that they're offering like a free training for like domestic violence, and just like learning all these different opportunities. And I'm just like, okay, like this is good. I'm just going to keep learning and learning and learning, and not limit myself. And so yeah, that's kind of like the mentality that I've been trying to keep as I continue through my career.
I like that attitude that it is lifelong learning. I think I literally just said that to my students today. For me, the sticky point, um, so now it's so weird. Once you're in the counselor brain, like all of your relationships seem to just like go into the counselor space. And I have two people in my life who are really, really close to me, and they share all of their, life's struggles with me. And sometimes things come up, and I'm like confounded in the moment, like, because I expect myself to have the right response and really coming to me with like an earnest, like I had a really, really hard day. This is the thing that happened, and these things are not just trivial. This is like, real life, really hard. And in the moment, it's like I know it's taking everything that we've learned and somehow um saying the right words in the moment at the right time, right? And I always, so this is what I've been doing, like my niece came to me and she was really, really upset because her ex is manipulating her daughter to try and come live with him because he doesn't want to pay extra child support. And my first response is anger, and then just saying these things that's like kind of flying off the handle. And then after our conversation, I took some time to really reflect and also study. I actually went and read and studied because I thought to myself, I want to get better at having my thoughts sort of more sorted out more quickly so that I can kind of know the kind of response I want to do. And I know none of us are perfect, but I think that as we experience these situations over and over again, it will become more fluid. But for me, it's like when you're in that moment, it feels like you're on stage and you're supposed to do something. And um, there's that feeling, that weighted feeling of like, okay, here's my turn. Here's the thing. This is, that I need to activate. But the cool thing is, like in both cases, after I went away and I studied a little bit and I reflected, I went back and said the things again. And I said, look, that thing I said before, I'm not so sure. And, now I'm thinking, and then I say the revised version. And that is the thing that lands, like with people, you have grace and and especially if you're willing to say, I'm not so sure, my approach was the right approach. And also, I'm saying it as if I'm the person disseminating like advice, when really we are the facilitator, not the person disseminating the advice. But what I'm trying to say is to facilitate in a direction, a particular, help them see things from a particular angle, because we are always facilitators, not disseminating. But I've just been practicing a lot. That's all I can say. Like sometimes I even go on Chat GPT and I'll say, hey, I want to practice being a therapist today. Splits, give me something. And then I have to respond. And even at that time, it's literally minutes later, I'm like, ugh. And then, there's that processing time. So I guess that's the sticky thing for me, is like that process, the moment of processing where you've got all this information coming in at you. What do you guys think?
I don't even know how to answer this question. I'm
So
over here like I haven't really thought about that. I'm more concerned about finishing. I got unexpectedly pregnant through the master's degree. I worked with Laura through my pregnancy. We were homework partners, and That
Yes,
threw a real boomerang into
totally.
my plan. So I think I'm concerned about probably staying completely present as a person through practicum and internship because I also work full time and now I'm a new mom. And by the time that I get there, Jude will be like, you know, a year and a half old and into shit. So it's gonna be a very I'm I'm anticipating it being a very difficult time, but I think for me to be competent, I'm going to have to stay present and not want to be at home with my son or think like, I got to get out of here. And I just don't want to do it just to get the hours. Like I really want to do it and feel it.
Similarly, I think the practicum and internship piece is what's biggest for me, just moving forward, only because I would really love, and y'all can pray for me on this, I would really love for um, an MOU to be established between my current employer and Concordia so that I can get paid for the work that I'm already doing. And because, right, I'm a school counselor, like, and we have therapists in schools, and I bill for my time currently when I'm meeting one on one with a kid, or when I'm doing a mediation, or when I'm resolving a conflict, or whatever I'm doing. And so that way, because like financially, there's no way that I could quit my job and do an unpaid practicum or internship. Like we live in San Diego, and like that's not even an option. And so for me, that's the big fear of like hoping that I can make that work. Um, and then also just because like as I mentioned earlier, right, like schools are moving in the direction of providing mental health supports on site. We already do that through third party agencies. And so, and like I said, as a school counselor, I'm billing. So why can't I just get honored for the work that I'm already doing, right? Like, and not have to do double the time and work and effort, which is what I'm already actually doing right now with the second master's degree. So like, yeah, it's just I'm praying on that, you guys. So be with me, please.
I hope.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you guys. Just I think for me, yeah, being present with all the stuff going on in life. I work and I'm also a primary caregiver for my mom with advanced Alzheimer's. And so just my emotional bandwidth is like is big most of the time, honestly. So wondering how I don't want to just get through the program and then just be a counselor. I want to actually learn and grow and be invested and emotionally and be, able to be present in the program and then after the program. So just making sure that I uh, continue to figure out what my boundaries are and also what fills me up and what actually helps me to be in a place where I'm actually going to be helpful to somebody and not, be triggered by everything they say and, just be in a emotionally, healthy space where I'm not getting this life sucked out of me by everybody else in my life. So
I mean, I definitely see a through line. Everybody's talking about looking forward into our future work, and some of us are already like Carly, you're already doing it. Um, so, and others of us not so directly, but I like the word. So I've heard a couple of you say present, be the ability to be present. And maybe that even relates to what I was talking about because all it really takes is just being present, right? I'm doing a lot of stuff in my head, right? But I like that word being present. If you're just present with someone, yeah, it can help you find the path. I feel like you can sort of organically find the path. So we're to the point where we're going to transition into our processing. So the last like half hour is supposed to be focusing on the group process. Um, and we're at about 5:23, so I guess we'll come at it a little bit early. Um, and I guess I'm just going to start it out by asking kind of a general question. What was it like for you participating in group today?
I can go first. From the start, I expected all of us to come from very different circumstances. I mean, we're all dialing in from different states, even cities, situations, age groups. But we still, even virtually, found many different ways to connect on a very deep level, which was one of the first things that I said when we logged on. Like, I wonder how this will go. Like, I haven't been in too many virtual group settings, and it's just our first one. So it made me look forward to the rest. I knew that this first one was going to set the tone for for the rest of them. And so I'm glad it went that way to see that even though we are all very different and have very different things going on in our lives, we still resonated on so many things. And we made efforts to show that we were really hearing because we kept like picking off on points that we had made. Um, yeah, it felt productive. Time went by fast. So that's how you know we were all super engaged. At least it went by fast for me. But I'm really looking forward to the rest of them.
Or what emotions came up? Did you guys have any, did you start getting certain emotions coming up for you at all? Think about how you were feeling emotionally.
I think for me, initially, like I was a bit nervous to share with you guys. Um, I think that's why I kept the intro and like my first sharing like super straight and to the point. But like once y'all really opened up about y'all's backgrounds, I was like, okay, this is like a safe space with like-minded people. Um, so yeah, I definitely felt a little bit guarded and apprehensive in the beginning, and I could just kind of feel myself relaxing towards the middle and towards the end. And it also helps too that no one has like a beach scene behind them. Like I can see all of y'all's real like rooms, your backgrounds. Like it's not a fake office. So that also helps too. Barbie with her baby. I was like, okay, this is family. Here we go. This is gonna be nice. So yeah, definitely a little anxious. And yeah, I'm just really excited now. I would say very comfortable on how this is going to look moving forward as we continue discussing these topics with each other. So, yeah.
So you did notice a dynamic where we started out being a little more formal and then slowly kind of loosening up and going, feeling comfortable to go deeper.
I should have asked permission if my baby could be in the room, so I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Everyone bring their babies and puppies.
Babies
No,
are always welcome.
yes.
I'm still here for Barbie and her mommy era.
We've all been
Yes.
through this.
Yeah.
You
They've
got to
been
make
through
it
it with
work.
me.
Yeah. So just to piggyback a little bit on Ariel, I think the question that you started with, right? Like what brings you to counseling in the first place? And then for me, that like automatically brings me back to my childhood, which was very painful. And so like there's feelings that come up with that. And Barbie was in my process group, so she's already heard all the terrible details. But I think it is something that's still hard for me to like talk about. And even at a surface level, and because we didn't even go there, but it still brings up like a knot in my stomach. And so for me, just to be reflective on that and then notice that I still have that reaction, even as a fully grown 40-year-old woman with kids and a family of her own, it still is something that like brings pain. And so I think that's just something that I'm going to be reflecting on, I guess, and aware of and moving forward, trying to like release that, like, right. And not be so anxious and guarded, like Ariel said, and try to be more, I don't know, open, because it's like this fear that's like, oh my gosh, how are they going to react? Right. And so, or just that I don't want to talk about it. So, yeah, that's real too.
I'm actually really glad you said that because when I said that, like what feelings came up, and I had that same knot in my stomach, Carly. Um, Even though I'm the kind of person that shares, it's still scary. And I still worry about being judged. And yeah, so thank you so much for being honest about that because it allows me to also admit that I have that knot in my stomach and there's fear about sharing. Yeah,
I
I'm
was
great.
uh I was fearful that you guys would not believe me if I told you I was Beyonce. I'm just joking. Um, no, I mean, I'm a person that it takes a moment to open up to. But I actually didn't really have any anxieties coming into this because I have been with Carly and I have been with Laura several times since this program started. And I've been met with such warmth and welcome and generosity and a listening ear. It was just since I've been in the program and I've been with those two, I just come at it now as I'm open and I love the transformation that's happened. And I was actually kind of excited for it.
Very cool. I'm glad. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I was a little nervous, but more excited. Um, like probably a couple years ago, I would have not shared anything really personal at all. But like I've just like come to realize that you might as well just share something. Might as well just throw something out there to see if anybody else connects. Because I just through this and through this program, I just realized about myself that I really love connecting deeply with people, and I can't do like small talk anyway. I run out of energy in like 3 minutes. So um, I love, yeah, I just felt really, um, I don't know, just relief, I think is what I felt that everybody was sharing openly, like right away, you know? So it was, yeah, it was awesome. I kind of knew it would be because we're all, we want to be counselors. So we know how this works, but it just, I love to connect. And I feel like we all kind of connected a little bit tonight. So it was fun.
I'm excited about our group. I'm excited to see how the process goes throughout the semester because I really have a feeling that we're going to look back on this and it's going to look different from that perspective, a few sessions down the road.
I think just to like the practical piece of the group, and like if you guys remember back from the skills class, right, how we had to be so analytical of our our body language, our eye contact, what we said, how we said it, all of the things, right? I think I just noticed that everyone was really attentive and invested. And Cynthia, similar to what you said, how everyone was picking up on things like and referring back to comments that were made and things that we shared. And when that just shows your engagement and that you're present. And I love, Ariel, that you said that presence speaks, right? And then that was something that we kept coming back to just repeatedly, is the power of being present. And I just really felt like everyone was here and it was authentic and not forced at all. Like I feel like it was not really awkward at all. Like it just moved very smoothly. And I think that that speaks to the willingness of everyone's hearts to show up well and be authentic and really bring themselves authentically to the table. And so I just thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank
We're
you.
all Beyonce.
We are all Beyonce Queen.
Yeah, we're all Sasha Fierce. Oh, and I want to thank Laura for adding that you use Chat GPT to practice because I actually did that for a whole year when I was being trained in motivational interviewing. I was like, I don't like
Okay,
summarizing,
good.
reflecting, I don't know. And so, yeah, I practiced with AI. So,
I just have days where I'm like, this is going to be my new profession. I really don't want to get in the room and then
Does it work? Like,
freeze. It really works. It
I'm
really,
not
really
the
works.
biggest in knowledge of AI, but I've heard good things.
I mean, I ask it to give me feedback, right? So you do it and then you ask for feedback. And I even had one day where it was driving me nuts because every time I said something, it had like a criticism. And I'm like, am I like, I was looking at it as right or wrong, which of course, that's just the perfectionist in me, right? Because it's never going to be, quote, all right. But I did like the process of trying the same thing again and again. So I do different things on different days, or some days I'll say, okay, I want to practice attunement. Or another day I want to practice, and I'll just pick up one skill. Um,
Do
but
you,
it helps calm my nerves a little bit.
do you think like when our humanity will show up, because inevitably it's going to show up, but do you think that that could be almost beneficial? Like, if we do have to, like, remember when we were working on rupture? Do you guys remember all that?
Yes, rupture and
Um,
repair.
Yeah, and I think it could build a closer connection when you do have to go back to that client and hold yourself accountable for something that could have hurt them. That teaches them accountability. And it shows your humanity too. Like you're just not this robotic thing that's going to feed them what they think they want to hear or not want to hear. But I think where we can make mistakes can be beautiful.
Yeah, I like that perspective. Yeah, for sure. I know. I like how relaxed you are, Barbie. I think I need some more of Barbie energy. I'm just gonna pull it in.
My boyfriend would not tell you that I'm a relaxed person.
You come across that way in our sessions, at least.
Well, I am, but like when it comes to like cleaning the house, I'm a monster. Like nothing can be out of place or I can't sleep.
Your order.
Very.
Yeah.
That's the mental load talking.
It is. If I see
Hmm.
chaos, I'm chaotic.
Hmm. Yes, 100%. So put it that way. Clean it up. I don't even want to think about it. If it's not put away, then I'm going to be thinking about it. Or like I look at the stove and the stove is dirty and I'm like, I need to clean that. And
I
then I
cannot.
go and do something else. And then it'll wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll be like, I never cleaned the stove. And
A picture could be crooked and I could see that and
yeah,
not get to it. I will wake up at 2 o'clock and go fix that
yeah,
picture.
I'm saying, yep, need things ordered. It's real.
But any other time, I'm more relaxed.
Well, we're in the closing phase and we are like a little bit under time. So 6 o'clock is our end and we're like at 5:37. I'm just gonna ask you guys, is there anything else that you
It's
would like to discuss for
it's
the last few
8:37 here.
minutes?
well, I actually did have a question. Kind of like because we all connected really well. But I did remember, like, in the text, he was trying to talk about, like, how to address tension in the group. And so for me, my thing is to like avoid any kind of topics that would cause tension, which is why I really like how you laid the ground rules at the very beginning. Like, what is housekeeping here for us? I just wonder, this crossed my mind at the beginning when you started. Um, just kind of like where the state of things are in the world, like as the facilitator, could we say things like politics is something we're not going to talk about? Like, what if someone is not comfortable with even bringing up politics or religion? um
Okay.
yeah, like how, like, is that something that could be put on a rules list
I
I
to
think
would
very, I think very definitely. Yeah.
see,
And that's my opinion.
oh, Barbie.
I would let it happen because part of growing is accepting someone for who they are and where they're at. And so if that is a process group or a group that is into that and that's where it leads, you can redirect tension, but I would let it happen because when we learn to accept others, we learn to accept ourselves.
I agree. And because sometimes we get stuck in echo chambers and we don't ever hear another perspective. And that's really important that we hear people that see the world in a different way. That helps us integrate, different perspectives and understand that we don't know everything. So yeah,
Well,
I would agree with Barbie. Yeah.
I'm gonna just say though, because I think what you're saying, Ariel, and I'm not sure, but you're talking about maybe future topics for groups, right? Because
Yeah.
the group has to have a purpose. We have to designate a purpose. And so, yeah, I could see maybe politics comes up as a side thing, during a group, which then it would be off topic, right? Because unless we made politics the topic of the group, but maybe it came out organically within a group. I think as the facilitator, you can let it lie and, just redirect back to whatever the main topic is. So with you, I agree, Barbie, that if it came out organically, it's not like you would shut it down, like, you know,
Especially if
but
somebody's trauma is around that. Say they were assaulted by like a certain political side or someone who doesn't necessarily agree with their lifestyle. If that is their trauma, no matter if we agree or we disagree, personally, it's where our morals stay out. We
right.
still
Yeah,
validate.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. I think it could come up as like organically as a part of another discussion. But in terms of like topics for future groups, because today I had to come up with the topic, right? I had to decide what is the question that's going to be tossed around and when I have to decide when to pivot if we're kind of petering out on that topic. And so I think Ariel's asking like a main topic would probably not be politics or religion. Although, I mean, side shoots of religious discussion. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, it's our group,
Well,
right?
there's something that he mentioned in there too. When he mentioned, oh, otra vez, let me see.
Are you talking
I don't
about the
even got my
cloud? Who are you, what are you
part
referencing?
two. Yeah, part two of the Cloud and Townsend
Cloud. Okay.
group book. I think it is it chapter 8. I can't even read my own notes, but prayer. I'm like, how, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
I
prayer
um,
is
remember
a
what you're
topic.
referring to. No, Ariel, in the book it said like starting and ending group with prayer, I think, or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And so is that what you're referring to?
I am. Yeah, that was kind of like another thing which kind of goes along with the whole like sensitive subjects, which are politics and religion, which sometimes can be like intermingled with each other that we see. And so I'm like, well, how do we like for me, like I mentioned before, I tend to avoid but like how would you like if the group was very vocal about their differences, about their red blue differences or about their differences in religion, like how would there be like a moment of silence if they wanted to pray out of respect for everyone's religion? I know I've seen that before. um and then I mean, I have been to a group before where the house rules were we're not going to talk about politics, but again, like Barbie is saying, like that's kind of like what adds to some people's trauma, like whether it be depression or anxiety. So, yeah, I'm like, well, what do you do when the group, like, we definitely connected and we vibed, but what do you do when there is a group with those type of tensions, and how to
I,
incorporate
I
what
think
we
that
read? Sorry.
I think that we start when we, as leaders, Laura didn't have control over this, but when we are therapists, as leaders, we put people that are similar and a little similar, not drastically different. It's like we wouldn't put someone that's atheist with like a large Christian population. Um, I think it's about how we control what we present with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then we could ask. I mean, if we're doing a Christian, like if it's a Christian counseling, then I'm sure an atheist is not going to join.
Well, I think it's worth asking right now since this is our group and it's going to continue. And I noticed that a lot of people talked about their calling and there's, you guys are, many people in this group are spiritual. And it's worth asking, do people want to use prayer in this group? I mean, that could be a question posed to the group. And if enough people feel that it's valuable, I know me personally, I would be respectful of that and participate. So, how, I don't think I'm the right person to bring it up because I am not part of a particular faith that I practice. I don't use prayer in my daily life anymore. I was raised Mormon and I left that faith. And since then, I've had just a different relationship with religion since my upbringing. And so, but I'm definitely very respectful. And when I go home, my family prays at every meal. You know what I mean? So, um, I guess I would say to the group, is that something important to you to incorporate something like that?
I mean, I appreciate prayer, but it's not something that I need. But I have so many questions about the Mormon church.
Maybe that'll be our topic. Maybe we are going to do religion.
I'm open to it if you guys want to. I know that when we were talking about whether we should avoid certain topics, the first thing that came to my mind is, at least for me personally, the reason why I was so comfortable from the beginning of the meeting was that when you set the housekeeping rules, not once did you use the words like avoid this or don't talk about this, because once you start saying that, it just kind of shuts you off. Because like I said, obviously our topic today was not anything like abortion or anything like that. But sometimes things can come up, like maybe somebody has been through that. Some things are inevitable and they're just like tied to who we are. And so that's always like my fear. Like whenever you start saying like using language like that, like avoid, it just kind of it tells you like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be vulnerable, maybe I shouldn't share everything. And I think that's something that was emphasized in the book, not the Townsend one, the actual textbook, the group counseling one was exposing values but not imposing. And I think that as a leader, that's where I would redirect, which I think is what you were saying, Laura. As long as nobody gets offended and no member is
Yeah.
attacked, anything is fair game. Um, yeah, because like I said, at least that's why I was comfortable. Because from the beginning, we all said like, we can talk about anything, as long as nobody gets offended, of course.
Yeah. And honestly, you were all taking turns being the leader. If you're a leader that wants to do prayer and you asked the group, guys, do you feel comfortable doing a prayer? And I'm sure we'd all be like, yeah, let's do it. Like it's your time to lead. So if you have a particular way of style of leading, I would encourage that. Just know that whatever you ask this group, I think will be met with an open mind. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask everybody to start twerking.
Everybody to stand up.
I'm joking, by the way.
That's
I'm
a good icebreaker.
I mean, honestly, you've touched on something because, I talk about my background as a Mormon and you say, I have so many questions, Laura. And to tell you the truth, it could be a topic of like how faith affects, I don't know, some future leader in our group might decide this could be a really great topic for the group to talk about because the world we're going to be in of counseling, we're going to encounter everything under the sun, I'm sure.
I think that leads to the question of, because I remember Dr. Gordon saying something about like trying to stick with the topic that was presented tonight, right? And so when we're talking about like your original question, Laura, of
Pivotal
what led us to
moment.
choose counseling in as our life's work, right? And so like taking a question that's an offshoot of that, um, I I guess that is the question, right? Are we going to stick with tonight's topic and just deviate slightly as we each take turns being the leader? Or are we going to go like just roll the dice totally random and like pull one out of a hat and see what happens every week? I don't know. So that's the question for you guys.
Yeah.
I like the random effect.
Barbie's for the chaos,
It's not in the kitchen.
not in the
Just not
kitchen.
in my house.
Yeah,
And
I think
no, is that a choice? I don't know. Should we, is
I
that a
don't know.
choice that we have?
I have in my notes from lecture, and I rewatched it last night, where she recommended strongly to stick to it and just deviate from it a little bit.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Yeah,
yeah, like kind of develop the topic more,
Yes.
right.
like deepen it in maybe different ways, but stick with the same topic. So we could, I mean, like go off to, faith. Are you going to incorporate faith, whatever in your counseling? But I think we need to stick with
Yeah,
the
I
same
think that was
topic.
my point is we could actually have faith be some version of faith, however you want to word the prompt. And you would have to, whoever's the next leader, they would have to like decide, how do I want to word this that it encourages, inclusive talk from a lot of different perspectives. But yeah, I'm sort of like thinking it's valid, you know?
Who is the next leader? Do we know?
Not yet.
Were we supposed to take notes through this? Because I didn't.
Um, we're just gonna be, so I think
I'm like, can you
I took a little bit of notes, but we have to do a deep process. What was it called, you
Mm-hmm.
guys?
the
Deep
discussion board?
processing note. Yeah.
Processing note. So,
Carly, will you save me this one?
Yeah, I'll take a picture and I'll put it in the chat for everyone. I mean, I hope you guys can read my handwriting, but yeah,
I
oh, her
forgot.
notes from here.
yeah. Just
Okay.
because I remembered that like we don't have access to the recording, right? And so I wanted to make sure that I was like had notes to refer back to for the processing piece.
Right.
So yeah. But
Thank you so,
I'll send you guys what I wrote.
oh,
Thank
awesome. That's
Thank
perfect.
you.
I happen to have access to the recording, so
Yeah.
but what they said, the recording is just, I'm going to go back, right? It said it's just, I'm the only one recording.
You're the only one that can have it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I disseminate transcripts? But probably not, because that's like I don't know. It's a
That's like
question
a
we could,
J.K. Rowling novel.
oh, it'll be forever, but
Yeah.
you could sift through it and pick out, you know, things that you felt were relevant to your deep processing, right? You just kind of scan it and then look for something that feels relevant. So I guess we could ask that question if we can share transcript.
Yeah.
So not that you're going to want
Do you
all that.
guys do you guys know, do we choose the next leader or does she assign the next leader?
She does.
I think
Yeah,
she
she
does.
Okay.
will. Yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna, that little symbol will be next to your
Will
name.
change. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
going
gonna
to
Yeah.
change
change.
every week.
Yeah.
I think she said on Friday, maybe Friday or Saturday, something like that,
Okay.
which
Do
doesn't
we
give
have
a
to,
lot of notice, which is kind of
No.
frustrating me because I'm a planner.
Same.
do we
For
have to
sure.
go off of Laura's first topic? Man, that blows my whole topic.
Aw, Barbie.
You
What did
can
you want
work
to
it
talk
in, I'm
about?
sure.
I wanted to do like a trauma segment since I'm so interested in it.
I'm sure you can work that in
Hey,
to
Well,
the
there's a lot
question
of
was,
trauma that drives
yeah.
who we want to work with in counseling. So you could totally work that in.
Or maybe it's like, well,
We don't have,
what
but do we have,
area of
we have to
practice do
stick
you
to
want to
my
focus on?
Do we have to stick to this topic? I thought that you guys get to choose a different topic every week.
But we deviate from it, which I think you chose a pretty broad one. Like for example, we could
Yeah.
talk about what are
Anything.
some challenges that you anticipate like with future work, or just go more into your driving motivations and if those have changed. Because I'm sure like as we're going into counseling, we might have more pivotal moments where we're like, oh, I really want to do this. But yes, she did encourage us to stay within the same topic.
Oh, I
Oh,
Yeah.
figured out how I'm gonna ask it. You want me to prepare you guys?
Yes.
I was gonna maybe
Maybe.
after something like, what's a traumatic moment or experience in your life that um
okay.
counseling or something? Or
Yeah.
is there a traumatic experience?
Man, I did not read it that way, so I'm really glad I did pick the topic I picked because it is pretty broad.
It is.
Thank goodness, because I didn't read it that way. I thought that you guys got to pick something different every single time. Okay, well, this did leave it wide open because I mean,
Yeah.
Barbie, that was perfect. Like literally, that perfectly works. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're gonna be okay. Good thing. All right,
Cynthia,
guys.
you
Oh, go
said,
ahead.
wait a second. Cynthia, you said that you were able to rewatch the first class.
Yes.
Every time I go on, I don't see the Zoom recording.
Let me see if I can find it.
She emailed it to us.
She did.
Really?
So maybe if you weren't in the class quite yet, you didn't get the email.
I might
I
have
feel
to
like
So
that's what happened.
we can
Yeah.
forward it to you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
let me find it and I'll send it over as soon as I get it.
I joined a week late, so
That's
thank
why
you
you
guys.
just missed the email. Yeah.
I don't want to take methods again. I took that in my undergrad and I'm not trying to take it again. I know that was random. Sorry.
Okay, so like this whole program is almost a repeat of what I did in school
Will they
counseling.
not like
So,
take transfer credits? Like, because I already did
no,
that.
because of the California state laws with regard
Mm.
to like K-CREP standards. If my school counseling program had been at a K-CREP accredited school, which it is now, but it wasn't 10 years ago, then I could have some crossover and I wouldn't have to do like the whole program over again. I might just need to take a few classes here and there and of course do my hours for licensure and all that stuff. But it was not the case because my school back then was not K-CREP accredited. And so, yeah, it's here I am doing a whole thing all
Everybody
over.
in California?
In California, yeah, California standards are some like this craziest in the state. Oh, not everybody. No, Ariel, you're in Florida, right? Yeah,
No, I'm in Ohio.
Central.
No one ever goes, I want a vacation to Ohio.
Isn't the Rock and Roll Museum there or like
Well, that's
Hall of
the
Fame or
armpit
something?
of Ohio. That's
Okay,
Cleveland.
well,
I live like Kentucky is my back door.
oh, okay.
Cincinnati.
I'll come visit you, Barbie.
Yay, do it.
And then I'll do a road trip. I'll start at Barbie's and go east. Here
Yeah.
we go. Come to San
Right.
Diego.
I love San Diego.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
I want to go to Din Tai Fung.
What? Is that a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want the garlic green beans.
I'm gonna have to look up this place because I have no idea what you're talking about. You have to send it to me, and then I'll go take pictures of my food for you.
I will.
All right, guys, it's 5:57.
It is.
So let's sign off. It was really good getting together with y'all. I'm excited. And good luck to the next facilitator. I look forward to not being the leader next time.
Were you stressed
Thank you,
out?
Laura. You did a good job.
Thank
You
you.
did.
Awesome job.
Yeah,
I
you did
wasn't I
amazing.
wasn't stressed, but like Malia, I like to be prepared and
Mhm.
you know,
And
not
2 hours is a long time.
it's a long time. It really is.
Yeah.
And having that pivot question, I'm glad I had it.
Yes.
So the note to next facilitator.
Mhm.
And no one take my
Definitely.
question.
Okay, we
Would
promise. We
never.
won't.
Would never. I'll rewrite my notes so that they're legible and then I'll send them to you guys.
You're so
Thank you so
sweet.
much, Carly.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, of
helpful.
course.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right.
No
I guess that
worries.
in future we can maybe take turns taking notes.
Yeah.
That would be a great idea. So we can do that. Okay.
I'll volunteer for next time. I'll take the notes
Oh,
next
thanks,
time.
Ariel.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Maybe
Ariel.
meeting minutes
Yeah.
or something.
Thanks so much.
Meeting
Nice.
minutes. Yeah.
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 Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
minutes
Minute
taker.
takers.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.